It's given me something to really think about and be like, you know, I am not all I can be right now, but I found something that may help me get there to where I'd like myself to be.
In parkour, you want to be the place where you can run through any environment and move naturally throughout it and move in a way that you don't have to think about what you're doing. But when you're training for parkour, it's a totally different mindset where you have to say, that is the goal that I want, but until I get to that point, I have to dedicate myself to doing this movement over and over and over and over and over until I get it instinctual, and that I can, if I do come across an obstacle like this in another environment, that I won't have to think about moving around it. I'll just have to, I'll just move.
And also it can be a spiritual exercise too, because while you're doing that, you're observing, you're looking at your surroundings, you're just feeling nature, you're feeling the trees around you, the wind, and you get this sense of peace.
The moment is actually pretty elusive, but it's that time when your feet have just left the ledge and you're in midair, and you see where you're trying to land and time just stops. And you're basically hanging in space. That time stops, it slows down to the point where, for me, I can almost see the particles in the air moving around me. And I can hear everything around me, and it's crisp, it's clear. And it seems to last, and it's like I have all the time in the world to plan, and all the fear and doubt and worry that I had, it's gone. And there's just that perfect moment of stillness, of nothing and everything all at once. It's something that I wish I could feel all the time. There was a video I saw of one of the founders talking about the core philosophy of parkour. And I'll admit it was the most eye-opening thing I think I've ever heard in any aspect of my life. Seeing how this person took parkour and applied it to every part, every facet of his existence and his being. It was almost like an epiphany for me, seeing how, you know, this is something that pushes you beyond the limits, but to see people who take that and apply it to all parts of their life, it really made me think that's what I want to do.
There's nothing else in the world that I can equate that has influenced my life more than parkour. Just the way that it has taught me to be okay with who I am, but at the same time strive to better myself and to be better for the people around me.
Training for the challenges of parkour is like training for the challenges of life in some level. You can't always predict what's going to happen, what's going to be in your way, what barrier you're going to have to overcome. But you always try your best to simulate that experience through trying to push yourself to be ready for something. But it's always going to be different, so I think practice and mental conditioning is essential to parkour.
I've definitely started to push myself in school, in relationships, and, you know, everything that has become a part of my life. And I owe that to parkour, to show me that it's not just physical strengths that people can have coming out of this. Spiritual, emotional, mental, it's all there. And if you look hard enough, you can find it and apply it.
Dan Edwards, director of Parkour Generations, says this about the discipline. Parkour, stripped down, is the use of space. It's how we fill space, how we move through it. It has often struck me when training and moving that the vast majority of that space is filled with what most would consider to be unspectacular movement. Long ago, I began to think that the essence of parkour actually happens between the application of the techniques themselves, in the spaces between. For me, the parkour happens in those spaces, in that larger movement that contains the individual techniques. I look at those techniques, the difficult jumps, the tricky landings, the dynamic vaults, as equivalent to peak experiences in life. They are what we train for and strive for, but in truth, they come and go quite quickly, and in isolation mean very little. Only in context do they have a point. The real quality of our movement, as of our lives, is held in the way we deport ourselves in those larger and less obviously glorious spaces. Who are we when not overcoming a great physical challenge or achieving some stupendous athletic feat? Who are we when not enduring a rigorous test of the mind or pushing ourselves to our limits? Who are we in those spaces between, in our daily living, our simple movement between jumps? Who are we in every moment, not just the ones that require our focus and presence in its entirety? It seems to me that that is the true test of our character, just as it is the true test of our movement. Parkour, like all great practices, is an art of living.
If you haven't started,